Really fast, if you guys want to check out my feature film Quesadilla, you can. It's on Amazon right now digitally. It's also getting a physical media release at the end of the month. You can check out my link tree for all my socials, all my short films and stuff like that. Always looking to meet with other collaborators and filmmakers. Boom, there we go. Now, this is a video I've been wanting to make for a while. I've been wanting to make, I actually had this plan to make it around next year. It was going to be one of my bigger videos. I did not plan to make this an off-the-cuff video, but I feel like right now the discourse in the physical media community is kind of entertaining in a way. And I feel like there's a lot of misinformation going around, and I think there's other ways to approach the conversation. Now, LG announced a couple of days ago that they were pulling out of the Blu-ray market. They were pulling out their Blu-ray players and their 4K players, and it got people scared. Now, I'm going to come out and say this because I feel like physical media people, which I am one of those people. I don't mean to say like, oh, physical media people, because I am a physical media person when it comes to movies. I buy my movies, and I'll explain that in a second. But I love streaming. I mean, I probably watch 30% of my films streaming, especially whenever I'm traveling and stuff. Yeah, I watch my stuff on streaming. I have no issue with it. When it comes to music, I usually stream my music. There are ways that I can buy music if I want to own it. There are ways that I can download music if I want it. But for the most part, music is pretty accessible. And I usually just pay for Apple Music. And if I don't have any internet, I can still access it. So I'm fine with it. I also have a small vinyl collection. I usually just buy like movie scores and soundtracks and, you know, just music that I genuinely feel it in my bones, I guess you could say. I get the vinyls for that. And when it comes to video games, I've given up on physical media for gaming. Like, I think realistically, when it comes to video games, physical media is just not an option anymore. I have been buying digital games for the longest time. I can still play them offline. It saves a lot of space too, you know, in the house and stuff, which is another thing I'll get into because it's really not that bad. There's ways around it. And just overall, the gigabyte space, most of the time whenever you buy a game, I mean, there's constant updates. So I feel like, honestly, owning a game digitally, sure, you don't have the ownership of the game, but at the same time, odds are you're going to have the game. I mean, yes, there have been cases, but I mean, realistically, let's be honest, odds are you're probably going to be able to play that game if you want to play it. I mean, there's no issue there. I think my biggest issue with gaming is the always online stuff. I think requiring an internet connection for games are just, it's insane if it's a single player game. And that's just from an accessibility standpoint. Just economically, it's not feasible for gamers, and it's just kind of lazy if I'm being honest. But yeah, so, and so that's me coming out saying that I don't mind digital and I don't mind streaming. I mean, look, we're in the 21st century. It's going to happen. I mean, it's just, there's no way around it. And I was completely can't talk. I was completely prepared to make this video knowing that I was going to upset people. Hit the dislike button if you want to. Leave in the comments your opinion if you want to. That's completely fine. It's a conversation. But you have to be realistic about these things before you can actually discuss them, I think. And thankfully, I do have a lot of knowledge about this stuff. And I want to just explain why physical media is important, not only because you own it. I mean, yeah, that's a big thing. But also, I feel comfortable saying this as well. Odds are, look, technology is advancing at a rapid rate every single day. I mean, it is every single day. Owning stuff digitally is not that bad. I mean, yes, there is a chance that in the snap of a finger, everything can disappear, of course. But that goes for really just about anything. Your life, the planet, anything. You know, technology is advancing, okay? Preservation is getting a lot easier. It takes time, but realistically, every day it gets better. I mean, years ago, I mean, I remember whenever I was getting into filmmaking, an SSD was like $500 just for like 500 gigabytes. Now I can get 6 terabytes on an SSD for like 80 bucks. I mean, seriously, like, and I've done that. I mean, I literally have a case right here for my Blackmagic because I shoot a lot of 6K RAW. I have like probably 8 SSDs in here just because they're so affordable. Like, they are. And physical media isn't even really my first choice of thing. Like, I mean, physical media, I collect physical media because I have to, and I think it's the right thing to do. But ideally, I would love to just download a movie, whatever quality I want to. I can just go to, you know, a company's website, buy it, put it on a hard drive, transfer it over if I need to, watch it. That's how I'd prefer to do it. And I know you can do that. Okay, let's be realistic. You can do that in ways. But I'm talking about legitimately, there's issues with it. Like if I was to buy a movie off of iTunes, I don't want to buy some movies off iTunes, some movies off Amazon. It just buying it through a company like that kind of makes me uneasy, just because if something does happen to the company, because that has happened. But overall, from a technical standpoint, owning it digitally, it doesn't bother me. As long as I can view it offline and I can transfer it and sort of curate my collection, I'm cool with it. And I'm already curating my collection as well. Like when I was talking about space, when it comes to physical media, when it comes to space, it does not matter. I mean, most of my Blu-rays that I buy, I've been literally just taking them out of the case and putting them in binders. Not my fancy boutique Blu-rays. If I end up spending like more than $30 on a special edition Blu-ray, I'm usually keeping it in that case. But for the ones that come in those little recyclable cases with the holes in the back of them, they're safer in fireproof binders than there are actual cases. So that's how I do it. Films like that, I've been slowly curating my collection to just sort of putting the ones that I care about front and center, but still having my own personal library for ones that I might want to go back and watch one day. Now, with that said, I know that was a long introduction, but I feel like it needed to be said just so that way I could get rid of the whole physical media bias talking about this. I'm going to talk about why you probably shouldn't worry about physical media and the honest, realistic expectations and probably outcome of physical media. If I'm being honest. LG pulling out of the Blu-ray market is not a surprise. I mean, even if you were to see Sony or Panasonic pull out of the Blu-ray market, I probably wouldn't even be scared, if I'm being completely honest. In a way, it's kind of a good thing, because companies don't really need to sell Blu-ray players anymore. They don't. It's kind of like vinyls in the 80s, which vinyls has seen a comeback. Probably, I seen somewhere where it's had the biggest revenue since 1985 somewhere, which is great. Honestly, I'm very happy to hear that. Just like a Blu-ray player or a DVD player or a 4K player, anybody that wanted a Blu-ray player probably has one. And there's a lot of statistics to support that. Going up here. Now, I actually don't have the statistics for Blu-ray players, and I don't have the statistics for 4Ks, but what I do have, the Sony PlayStation 4, and I'm not even including PS3 sales in this, but the Sony PlayStation 4 has sold over 117 million units worldwide. That's 117 million Blu-ray players that are available right now in people's homes. The PlayStation 5 has sold over 50 million. That's 50 million 4K players available in people's homes right now. This is just for Xbox as a whole, but 100 million Xbox users worldwide. That means there's 100 million Blu-ray or 4K players worldwide right now. And when it comes to DVD players, 48 million households. That's not people, 48 million households, which is the equivalent to about half of the households in the United States have a DVD player. It would kind of be ridiculous. And that's not even including Blu-ray players. That's not even including 4K UHD players. That's not even including these little things, which I have a Blu-ray drive that I bought for my MacBook so I can watch Blu-rays, in my office. I mean, just kind of a convenient thing to have. Look, anybody that has a Blu-ray player or anybody that wants to have a Blu-ray player, they have one. It would be ridiculous for companies to keep manufacturing Blu-ray players if people are not buying them. More people own a Blu-ray player now than ever before. And also, LG, they're halting their sales. It doesn't mean that they won't come back and make... even there are plenty of companies that's got out of the Blu-ray market. Believe me, if Blu-rays were to pick back up in sales, they would manufacture them. They would go right back to manufacturing them. It would be less not to, okay? But the fact of the matter is, if you're not selling it, then you shouldn't make it. And to be fair, Sony's probably they probably have some of the best Blu-ray players out there. Let's be honest. I completely regret not getting a Sony Blu-ray player, if I'm being completely honest. I've been using my PlayStation 5 for a lot of my 4K UHD disc. Also, when it comes to physical media, it's kind of exciting because 4K UHD is technically, I don't really see it getting much better than that, and it's kind of nice to have a piece of media that we know can be accessible for generations to come, because say for instance disc rot is a thing, then, which I know it is for certain things, but most of the time manufacturing Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs, the newer ones are manufactured pretty well. That kind of goes with anything that's poorly manufactured is not going to last as long as something that is quality. So there's also that. But say for instance disc rot is a thing. Okay, these discs, They do not cost much to manufacture, and I know this personally. I know somebody that is having their film come out on Blu-ray. When it comes to Blu-ray, I have seen Blu-ray like charts or whatever of buying Blu-rays and buying them in bulk and what companies do. You can literally make a Blu-ray with like the case and the cover art and the Blu-ray itself, usually for around $1.09 a unit on average. They are selling these for 20 or 30 bucks. I have no issue with that. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. I'm cool with it. That's fine. I'm using my money, I think, for a good investment. So when it comes to physical media not being feasible, look, discs are just going to get better. Gigabyte space is just going to get better. Okay, we have 100 gigabyte Blu-ray disc. Eventually, we're going to be able to put the whole entire 1980s on a disc one day. I mean, realistically, if things keep going the way that they are, it probably is going to happen. And I think the next best thing after a disc, after a 4K UHD disc or the M disc, or there's even this new, I don't even want to say it because I'm not going to pronounce it right, but it's a new disc that has like 10 terabytes on it. Digital is the next best thing. And so what I'm saying is it feels good that Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray exist, because back in the past, companies were trying to figure out the longevity of things. It's kind of nice now to know that this is sort of the medium that we can stick with, so that way our stuff can be accessible for generations to come. Because I think one thing that a lot of people get confused about physical media is physical media is not just for you to own just because the big bad companies can take it away from you. Physical media is also important for preservation. Back in the 1920s, the early 1900s, this is something some people, actually a lot of people don't know, but around 75 to 80% of silent films do not exist. 50% of films, I think, made before either 1940 or 1950. I don't know the exact information on that, but 50% of films from that time period, they don't exist anymore. They are literally finding film reels in salt mines in like South America, Mexico, other countries. That is kind of a dangerous thing for preservation, which is why digital is kind of great, because I mean it goes everywhere. I mean it just boom, 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 everybody can get a hold of it, you know. But with physical media, I think companies are kind of aware of this, which is why they still make this stuff, is Blu-rays. I have a lot of respect for a lot of collectors, because there are some collectors that curate their collection so much, they build their own servers, they're doing things like Plex. Heck, I even had somebody offer me their Plex server to watch stuff off of. There are people going nuts with this stuff, which is amazing. It is awesome. Companies know that. Filmmakers know that. It is the actual the general audience. I know sometimes people are like, oh, the general audience, they're going to do. Sometimes it's the audience that keeps stuff alive. Sometimes what goes on behind the scenes is more important than what goes on during the scene. Because in the 1920s, there were weirdos, which is us, you know, people that collect Blu-rays and stuff. There were weirdos, I say weirdos just because I heard it in a video, that were actually buying those film reels, because they would burn the film so they could reuse some of the material that was, I think it was silver. So there were people that wanted to collect the film reels. If it wasn't for those collectors, those films would be lost with time. So physical media serves more than just, oh, I want to own this. And also, yes, physical media is expensive. It can get expensive when you can stream stuff, which honestly, streaming really isn't any better. I mean, if you want to own all the streaming services, it's like $300 a month. If you want to have like access to every streaming service, so that way you can have access to maybe 50%, 60% of films that are available. There's a lot of films that aren't available on streaming services. There's a Russian director that I've been watching personally. I've had to watch his stuff on YouTube. And that's sort of, it's kind of where we're going now, which is kind of a good thing, you know, for indie filmmakers, that they can put their stuff on YouTube and stuff. But anyway, that's beyond the point. If companies stop selling physical media, say for instance, every company stopped selling physical media, except for a couple, I still think companies should probably let other smaller companies, like let's just say there was one company in the world, okay, that made physical media. Let's just say that they were the ones that every single, companies should do this already, do Blu-rays and 4Ks by order, you know, just do pre-orders, and then whoever pre-orders it, you know, manufacture it by order as they're ordered. Because I mean, there's no sense in printing out 1 million copies not knowing if you're going to sell 1 million of them. I mean, that just goes for anything really, not just movies. But say for instance there was one company that did it. That one company is going to be eating good. That one company is going to be eating good. And this is all just hypothetical stuff. I'm literally just speaking hypothetically. But say, for instance, there was one company that made Blu-ray players and Blu-ray disc. Even if there was only, say, 5,000 collectors in the world out of like 8 billion people, that company's still going to be eating good because those people are going to buy those movies every month. They just are. They're going to buy the media every month. And that company's going to be making a lot of money if those people keep doing it. You see what I'm saying? It's not necessarily the worry of physical media going away, because it's not. If anything, it's kind of gotten better over the last couple of years. I mean, when I released Pesadilla, my feature film, I was getting, everybody, my parents, grandparents, family members, friends, people that didn't even give a shit about films to begin with, like that weren't big film nerds, people at my work, random people. When's the DVD coming out? When's the Blu-ray coming out? People want to own stuff if they want to own it. It's an expensive hobby. It can be an expensive hobby, but the fact of the matter is, you're not going to take your money with you. You just can't. And there was a quote, I don't want to misquote it or whatever, but sometimes the best thing you can do is spend money. That's not saying go out and just waste your money. There's such things as investments and stuff like that. But I do think physical media is an investment. And I have no issue supporting these companies, because one of the real reasons why I buy physical media, one of the real reasons why I go to the theater, spend $10 on a ticket, and then go out and I spend $20 on the Blu-ray, is because I want to support these companies. Because I want to keep watching movies. I want people to be able to make movies. Hell, I'm a filmmaker myself. I rely on these companies to do good so they can take chances on people. It's the most important thing to me. And that's why I don't care to double dip sometimes on a movie if I really enjoy it. I bought Texas Chainsaw Massacre like 7 times, and I just bought the vinyl. Anytime it comes out to theaters, I go out and I see it. It cost money, yeah, but I like it. And look, it helps out somebody creatively. And that's the most important thing. Even streaming services are kind of freaking out right now about, just how many movies they have in production and stuff, and canceling shows. And most people I know have been canceling Netflix just because they can't find anything to watch. And there's a lot of people after, the whole COVID thing. There's a lot of people that have been going back to buying physical media just because it's the most accessible thing to them right now, So I wanted to make this video, and I know it's long, and if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about it because I was able to go on for almost 20 minutes without really missing a beat. And the reason being is because, there's so much more to physical media than what people actually understand. And I think instead of having the discourse of physical media is dying, because whether you like it or not, it's not. It's just not. It's not even the satisfaction of a physical media owner saying, yeah, my physical media is not dying. It doesn't make me feel good. It's just I know it's the right thing, and I know it's the right thing to do. Physical media is changing. It's always going to change, just like everything else. But film is an art form. Movies are an art form. There has to be a way to preserve it. There has to be a way for audiences to watch it. And we live in probably one of the most exciting times. It's a scary time, but we live in one of the most exciting times because we're at the dawn of the digital age, which is something a lot of people are, if the world goes on for, a lot longer than, say, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, whatever, thousands of years, we're living in one of the most important times of all time. We're in the dawn of the digital age. We're figuring this stuff out. So that's sort of my 2 cents on the whole physical media thing. I don't think people should be upset about it. I think people should honestly feel really good that there's even a discussion about it, because if people didn't give a shit, there just wouldn't even be a discussion about it anyway. They would just stop doing it, and then that would be it. So there you go. A lot of stuff on the internet that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to physical media. So there you go. If you're not collecting physical media, right now would be a good time to do it. I'm not sitting here trying to promote it or tell you what to do or anything. But realistically, if you do love movies and entertainment and you want to make an impact on it, buying physical media is one of the best ways that you can do it. Most filmmakers that I know, most people that I know in the filmmaking community, they usually are the big physical media buyers because they love the art form. But there's a lot of people, the general audience, they don't want to go out and buy every movie, and that's fine. But maybe buy the ones that you really like. Say, for instance, you go to the theater, you see a bunch of movies. Maybe there's just 2 that come out throughout the year. Buy them on Blu-ray. Buy them on DVD. Help out the creators. But anyway, guys, that is my little input on the whole physical media thing. I've been wanting to make this for a while, just because over the last couple of months, I've just figured out so much stuff myself going through distribution of my own film. And yeah, so I mean, just maybe hearing it from a filmmaker, I mean, there's other filmmakers that talk about it as well, but just maybe look at different inputs. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, take it easy. Hit that subscribe button if you want to, and I'll see you later. Bye.